The cold air stung her lungs as she ran through the sharp, rocky canyon. Her feet were bleeding, her thin clothes torn by thorns and branches. Every step hurt. But she couldn't stop, not now. Not when they were chasing her. Her name was Jiraiya. She was the last of her scouting team. The others had been captured or killed. She didn't know which was worse. The soldiers who hunted her were human. And she had heard what they did to prisoners. They don't take aliens alive. They don't ask questions. They shoot first. That's what the elders had always said. And now, hiding behind a jagged rock, trying not to breathe too loudly, Jiraiya was starting to believe it. A sound crunching dirt. Someone was close. She peeked out. A man, human. He walked slowly, carefully. His armor was scratched and dirty, and a rifle rested on his back. His face was hard, focused. He looked like someone who had seen war for far too long. She ducked back behind the rock, her heart pounding like a drum. Her fingers closed around a sharp stone. It wasn't much, but if he got too close, then silence, too quiet. She looked again. He was standing just a few steps away, watching her. Their eyes met. She froze. Her body trembled. The stone dropped from her hand. It didn't matter anymore. She stood up slowly and raised her hands. Her voice cracked as she spoke in broken standard. "Go ahead, kill me." He didn't move. She waited. Still nothing. His hand moved, but not for his weapon. He reached into a pouch on his belt and pulled out a small silver bottle. Water. He placed it on the ground and stepped back. Jiraiya blinked. Her knees went weak. What kind of trick was this? Humans didn't show kindness. This had to be some game. Still, her throat burned. She hadn't had water in 2 days. She crawled forward, picked up the bottle slowly, eyes still on him, and drank. Her body shook as the cool liquid ran down her throat. The man said nothing. He just turned, walked over to a patch of flat ground, and sat down. She stayed where she was, confused, nervous. Watching him closely, he didn't tie her up. He didn't question her. He didn't even talk. He just opened a ration pack and started eating quietly. The sun was starting to set. Shadows grew longer in the canyon. Jiraiya wrapped her arms around herself, shivering. She didn't know what to do. Finally he spoke. "You have a name?" She hesitated. "Jiraiya. I'm Cole." Then silence again. That night, she didn't sleep. Cole did. Right there on the cold ground. No chains, no guards. Jiraiya found a sharp bone near the rocks. She held it close, unsure. Was this some kind of trap? She crawled a little closer and looked at him. His face was calm. His breathing steady. She could attack him now. End him, but something stopped her. Why didn't he kill her when he had the chance? The next morning, she was still watching him when he woke up. His eyes opened slowly and met hers. He didn't look surprised. "You're still here," he said. She nodded, unsure what to say. He tossed her half of his ration pack. She caught it without thinking. What do you want from me?" She asked softly. "Nothing," she frowned. "Then why didn't you kill me?" He looked at her for a moment, then said quietly, "Because you looked like someone who didn't deserve to die." His voice was calm, honest. Jiraiya didn't know how to respond. Her heart ached, but not from fear. From confusion. No one had ever said something like that to her. All her life. She'd been told humans were monsters, killers, but Cole wasn't acting like one. The canyon was quiet around them. A cold breeze blew through the rocks. Somewhere far above, a hawk-like creature cried out. Cole stood up and stretched. "We should move before more patrols come." "We?" she asked. He didn't smile, but his voice had a warmth in it. "You can come with me, or not, your choice." He started walking. Jiraiya stood still, watching him go. She had expected death, but she had found something else, and it terrified her, more than the idea of dying. Hope. Zhe Royo woke up gasping for air. 4 A moment, she forgot where she was. She thought she was back in the cage-cold metal walls, no food. The sound of screams, but no, there was no cage, only stars above her head. And the quiet crackle of a campfire. She turned quickly, and saw the human Cole, still alive. Still there, still. Not killing her. She sat up, breathing hard, heart racing. Her fingers reached for a rock, out of habit, but found nothing. Then she saw it next to her, folded gently, placed like a gift his jacket. It was thick, warm, human-made, still holding the heat of his body. Jeriah looked over. He had given it to her while she slept. Now he sat with his back to her at the edge of the canyon cliff, watching the sun rise over the distant mountains. Why was he being kind? Kindness didn't exist in war. Not between humans and her kind. She slowly pulled the jacket around her shoulders. It smelled of smoke and something else. Something human. Cole didn't turn when he spoke. I figured you might get cold. His voice was calm, tired, like someone who had carried too much weight for too long. Jeriah didn't know what to say. She sat in silence for a while, staring at his back, then finally asked, "Why are you helping me?" A long pause. Then he said, "Because I don't like what the war is turning us into." She frowned. "Your people started it." Cole nodded slightly. "Maybe, but that doesn't mean we have to end it the same way." Jeriah hugged her knees to her chest. His words were strange. She didn't understand them, but they didn't sound like a lie. "Where are you going?" she asked. "Nowhere. Just away from the fighting." "You're a soldier." "Not anymore." She tilted her head. "They'll call you a traitor. I've been called worse." That day, they walked together slowly, quietly. Jeriah still limped. Her wounds hadn't healed. But Cole didn't rush her. He stayed by her side, every step. At one point, she stumbled. He reached out to help her, then stopped. Instead of grabbing her, he offered his arm. A choice. Jeriah hesitated, then took it. It felt strange, warm, strong, but safe. Later, they rested near a river. Cole used a small metal tool to catch something from the water. A fish, maybe. She had never seen one so close before. He cooked it over a small fire. The smell made her mouth water. He handed her a piece. She stared at it. She remembered the first time she had tasted human food. It was in a prison camp, dry, burnt, thrown at her like she was a beast. But this was offered with open hands. She took a bite. It was good. Too good. She looked at him with teary eyes. "I don't understand you." Cole looked at her quietly. "That's okay. I don't understand myself either." As night came, they sat by the fire. Jeriah broke the silence. "If our positions were switched, I would have left you behind." Cole nodded. "Most people would." "Then why didn't you?" He poked at the fire with a stick, watching the sparks rise into the sky. "Because maybe someone has to be the first to stop hating." The fire crackled between them. Stars filled the sky above. A peaceful silence settled over the canyon. Jeriah stared into the flames. She had expected pain. She had expected chains. She had expected death. But this human had given her something she had never known. A blanket, a warm meal, a second chance, and maybe something even more dangerous. Trust. Asterisk. The human was gone. Jeriah's eyes snapped open. The campfire had burned to ash. Morning light spilled across the rocks. Birds chirped far above in the cliffs. But Cole, wasn't there? No footsteps. No warning. Just gone. Jeriah sat up, heart pounding. Was this it? Was he done pretending? Had he waited until she was weak, and then left her to die? Her hands shook as she stood. Her eyes scanned the canyon. Her mind screamed, "He's not like us. You're a fool to trust him." She should run. Now she didn't owe him anything. He gave her food, water, warmth, but it didn't mean he cared. It could all be part of some game. Her legs moved before her mind caught up. She ran. Every part of her body ached as she limped through the canyon trails. But she didn't stop. She knew these rocks better than he did. She could vanish, cross the river, find one of the old caves and wait for nightfall. She could survive. Alone. Again. Always alone. But something felt wrong. She reached a high ridge and crouched behind a boulder. Her breathing was fast. Panic. Why did she feel guilt? Why did it feel like she had just abandoned someone? Her thoughts were interrupted by a sudden noise. Footsteps. Soft, steady. Jiraiya. Tensed, ready to fight. Then she saw him. Cold. He was walking slowly, holding a metal canister. It was full of water. He had gone to refill it, and when he looked up and saw her standing on the ridge, his expression didn't change. He wasn't angry. He wasn't surprised. He just nodded like he already knew she would run, and still, he had come back. Later, they sat by a new fire. She didn't speak for a long time. Then finally, in a small voice, she said, "I thought you left me." "I didn't. I thought maybe you changed your mind." "I didn't." "Then, why didn't you stop me?" Cole stared into the flames. "Because I wanted to see what you would choose." Jiraiya swallowed hard. Her voice shook. "I almost didn't come back." He nodded. "But you did." That night, as stars lit up the sky, Jiraiya couldn't sleep, not because of fear, because of questions. She had escaped worse. She had lived through pain, through betrayal. But this strange kindness, it was harder to escape, harder to understand. Next morning, they continued walking together, quiet, calm. But something in Jiraiya had changed. She stopped looking over her shoulder. Every 5 seconds, she stopped flinching when he moved, and when he offered her a hand to help her over a rock wall, she took it. Willingly. Hours later, they stopped in a shaded spot near a stream. Cole rested, leaned back on his bag, and stared at the sky. Jiraiya sat beside him, her fingers tracing the dirt. Then, almost like a whisper, she said, "My people. They always said humans were beasts." Cole said nothing. "My mother used to say, if they catch you, they'll break your body first, then your mind." She looked up at him, eyes unsure. "But you didn't do that. You didn't even ask me anything." "Why?" Cole looked at her quietly. Then, with a small sigh, said, "Because I'm tired of being what they expect me to be." A soft breeze passed through the canyon. Trees rustled above. The world, for a moment, felt still. Jiraiya stared at the human beside her. He had no reason to care. No orders, no reward, and yet, he had chosen to stay. And now, without chains, without fear, without force, Jiraiya had made a choice too. She had chosen not to escape. It wasn't her they were hunting anymore. It was him. Cole. Raya found the flyer near an old supply crate, buried under dust. The paper was half torn and stained, but the message was clear. A photo. His face, and a price. Wanted, deserter, dead or alive. 10,000 credits. Her blood turned cold. She stared at it for a long time. Her hands trembled slightly. The human who had saved her, fed her, carried her wounds like they were his own, was now being hunted like an animal, and it was because of her. Because he didn't kill her. Because he chose kindness over commands. She looked up the hill where Cole waited, fixing a broken bootstrap. He didn't know. Not yet. Back at camp, Jiraiya sat quietly, holding the crumpled paper behind her back. Cole noticed. "You okay?" She nodded too quickly. "Just tired." But her mind was loud. Should she tell him? He had trusted her. But trust was heavy and dangerous. Maybe he already knew. Maybe he didn't care. That night, she placed the paper beside him while he slept. A silent message. When the sun rose, the paper was gone, and Cole didn't say a word. By afternoon, the change was clear. He walked faster, checked the sky more often, avoided open paths. They were being watched. Jiraiya saw it too. A shadow moved along the canyon wall, too big to be a bird, too quiet to be a creature. A drone dot later. They took cover in an old cave. The air was cool and wet, and the sound of running water echoed somewhere deep inside. Cole sat near the entrance, rifle resting across his knees. His eyes were sharp now, alert. Jiraiya sat across from him. "I saw it," she said softly. He nodded. "Scout drone, military grade. They know I'm close." "You're not safe anymore," he gave a dry laugh. "I never was." Jiraiya looked down. "Because of me." "No," he said firmly. "Because I stopped being their weapon." They heard voices that night. Not close, but not far either. Radio chatter. Boots stepping on loose stones. Jiraiya's heart pounded as she clutched the small blade Cole had given her. "They'll find us," she whispered. "Not if I lead them away." She looked at him, alarmed. "No, if you go alone, they'll kill you," he shrugged. "If I stay, they'll kill both of us." Jiraiya stood, eyes fierce. "Then I go too." He smiled, tired, but proud. "You've changed." She stared back. "No, I just finally know what's worth saving." Before dawn they moved, fast, silent, through the trees and along rocky paths. Cole laid false tracks, used smoke bombs, even triggered an old noise trap to throw off the scouts. Jiraiya watched him work, impressed. He wasn't just kind, he was smart, trained, dangerous when needed. They camped again after sunset, deep inside a collapsed mining tunnel. It was dirty, cold, but safe. Now Jiraiya sat close to the small lantern they lit. Her voice was quiet. "Why did you leave your unit?" Cole leaned back against the wall. "They ordered me to burn a village, said it was enemy territory. But I saw kids, families, just trying to survive." He looked at her. "I said no." She nodded slowly. "And they called you a traitor." "I'd rather be called that than become a monster." The silence between them was no longer heavy. It was honest. Raya moved closer, watching his tired eyes. "You saved me," she said. "I didn't expect to. And now you're hunted." "I've been hunted before." She hesitated, then softly said, "You're not alone this time." Outside, the wind howled. But in that broken tunnel, two strangers from different worlds sat together, not as enemies, but as something far more dangerous to those who still wanted war. Jiraiya never cried in front of anyone, not even when her village burned, not when her sister vanished into the soldier's cage, not when the commander said she wasn't useful anymore and sent her to the front line to die. But now, in the quiet of the tunnel, under the soft yellow light of Cole's lantern, with his jacket wrapped around her shoulders, she cried, not loud, not shaking. Just silent tears. They slid down her cheeks like they had waited years to be free. Cole didn't speak. He didn't move. He just sat beside her, quiet and still, letting her breathe. After a long time, she finally whispered, "I wasn't supposed to survive." He looked over. "I was just a scout. I had no weapon, no training. They sent me with a fake map and told me to find a safe path through the war zone." She wiped her face roughly. "It was a trick. They wanted the enemy to catch me. A distraction." Cole's jaw clenched. "They used you as bait." She nodded. "They said, your kind is easy to replace. That was the last thing my commander said before he shoved me into the transport." She looked down at her hands, still stained from days of hiding and running. "I was captured. They tied me to a pole and left me in the sun. For 3 days, no water. Just waiting for someone to buy me or finish me." Her voice cracked, but no one did. "Even the traitors called me broken." Cole's voice was low and steady. "You're not broken." Jiraiya gave a small, bitter laugh. "Then why did everyone throw me away?" He looked at her, eyes sharp but warm. "Because they were blind. All of them." She met his gaze, and for a moment, the world stopped. The fear, The pain. The past. All of it faded under the weight of that one sentence. Later that night, she opened her satchel and pulled something out. It was small, wrapped in old cloth. She placed it between them carefully. Cole leaned closer. Inside was a thin metal tag. A name carved into it. Her sister's. She was taken, Jiraiya said softly. I never found her. I kept this. Because I thought if I died, someone might still say her name. Cole gently touched the tag. We'll say it together. The next morning, the wind outside had stopped. The sun rose quietly over the mountain peaks. Jiraiya packed the metal tag carefully back into her satchel and tightened the straps. She looked stronger now. Not because she had healed, but because she had finally shared the weight. Cole watched her from the tunnel entrance. You sure you want to keep going? She stepped beside him. I didn't come this far to quit now. They walked through burned fields, past crashed ships, and abandoned bunkers covered in moss. And as they moved forward, something changed. Between them. It wasn't just survival anymore. It was purpose. At sunset, they reached a small human outpost. Jiraiya tensed. Wait, she said. We can't go there. I know, Cole answered. We're not going in. He led her past the edge of the ridge. Down a hidden slope. There, buried under dirt and branches, was an old comms unit. Broken. Almost useless. Almost. He knelt down and began to fix it. Jiraiya watched in surprise. What is this? Cole looked up, hands working fast. Proof, your story. My story, all of it. Someone out there needs to hear it. She stared. You're going to broadcast it? He nodded. Maybe not to the soldiers, but to the ones who still care. To the ones who want peace. Jiraiya sat beside him. And for the first time in years, she started to believe that maybe, just maybe, someone out there was still listening. The signal had been sent. Now they could only wait. Jiraiya sat on a cold stone, knees pulled to her chest, staring at the tiny blinking light on the broken transmitter. Every blink meant the message was repeating, her voice, her story, sent into the void. But what would come back? Silence, a rescue, or soldiers with guns? Cole stood a few steps away, facing the valley below. His jaw was tight. His fingers kept brushing over the old dog tags around his neck. A nervous habit. Jiraiya saw it. He was thinking too much. And thinking in war could be dangerous. Something's wrong, she said quietly. He turned slightly. What do you mean? You haven't looked me in the eyes since you fixed the transmitter. Cole stayed silent. Then finally, he walked over and sat beside her. I got a signal too, he said. Jiraiya's eyes widened. What kind of signal? He showed her a small handheld device. It blinked with a different color blue. An old friend. One of the last ones I trust. He picked up our message, and he's coming. Her heart jumped. He's coming here? To help, Cole nodded slowly. But he can only carry one. The words hit her like ice. Jiraiya stared at him. One seat. One passcode. He thinks he's rescuing me. He doesn't know about you. She looked away. Then go. I haven't said I'm going. But you're thinking it. Silence. He didn't deny it. Jiraiya's voice cracked. You helped me when no one else would. You gave me food, water, shelter. Hope. I won't let that be the reason you die. He looked at her, then really looked at her. You think I helped you, he said softly. But you're the reason I remembered who I was. The wind picked up. Dust swirled through the canyon. The transmitter kept blinking. Time was running out. Cole stood up and began pacing. If I go, I can tell your story to the world. I can make them see what they did to you. I can make it matter. Jiraiya rose too. If you go, I stay here. Alone. I know. She stepped closer. I'm not asking you to stay. But you want me to. She nodded once, and her voice, barely above a whisper, said, I don't want to lose the only good thing this war gave me. A sharp sound cut through the air, a ship approaching. They both turned, a small craft, low and fast, coming over the ridge. Cole grabbed her hand. This is it. They ran to the landing spot. The ship hovered just above the rocks, landing gears digging into the earth. The door opened. A man stepped out, helmet off, gray hair, battle-scarred face. Cole! He shouted. You've got 60 seconds. Where's the payload? Cole didn't answer. He looked at Jiraiya. She looked back, eyes full of fire and fear. And then he took off his dog tags. He handed them to her. Use my name. My code. He'll listen. Jiraiya froze. What are you doing? I'm staying, the older man shouted again. Cole, what the hell are you doing? Cole smiled softly. Making a choice. Jiraiya shook her head, tears forming. No, please. You don't have to. I do, he said. You deserve to live, she said. So do you, he replied. Before she could stop him, Cole turned to his old friend and yelled, She goes. Not me. The man stared in disbelief. You're out of your mind. Maybe, Cole said, but I'm finally free. Jiraiya stepped toward him, trembling. You'll be hunted. I already am. You'll be alone. He smiled. I'm used to it. Then, for the first time, she wrapped her arms around him. He didn't pull away. And in that moment, no words were needed, only hearts. She stepped onto the ship. Still crying. The door closed as the engines roared. Cole watched as it lifted into the sky, carrying away the girl he was never supposed to save. But somehow did, and even though he was now alone again, he smiled, because this time it was his choice. Asterisk, they didn't believe her at first. An alien girl, saying a human saved her. That he chose to stay behind in danger just so she could live. No one believed it, until she showed them his name, his voice, his sacrifice. Jiraiya stood on the bright stage of the Galactic Assembly, lights shining down on her pale face. Her simple clothes didn't match the glittering uniforms around her. But she didn't care. In her hands, she held a small metal tag, scratched, worn, and precious. Cole's dog tags. She raised them high. This was the first thing he gave me. Not food, not water, not shelter. This. The crowd stayed silent, because to him, I wasn't an enemy. I was someone worth saving. Months had passed since the ship took her away from the canyon. She had begged the pilot to go back. To find Cole. To rescue him. But when they returned, the cave was empty. No blood. No body. Only footprints that led deeper into the wilderness. He had vanished like a shadow in the dust. Jiraiya told her story anyway. Every word, every memory. She spoke on every channel, every platform. Not just for herself, but for him. She used his name, his rank, his story. And something strange began to happen. People listened. Human soldiers reached out quietly. Some said they, too, had questioned orders. That Cole's actions gave them courage to walk away. Alien refugees sent messages of thanks. They said it gave them hope that maybe not all humans were monsters. Cole's name began to spread, not as a traitor, but as something much rarer, a bridge. Jiraiya was offered awards. She refused them. She was offered safety. She accepted it for now, but every night, she looked up at the stars and wondered, where is he now? Then, one quiet evening, she received a package. No sender. Just coordinates. And inside one item, his old jacket, folded, clean. With a note inside, just 5 words. You were worth the risk. Jiraiya held it against her chest and closed her eyes. She didn't know how it reached her. Did he send it? Did someone else? It didn't matter. She smiled through her tears, because he was still out there, somewhere. The war didn't end overnight, but something had changed, because of one man. One choice, one message, and the girl who carried it forward. Now, standing on that stage, Jiraiya finished her speech with one final sentence. He could have ended my life, but instead, he gave it back to me. And in the silence that followed, something deeper echoed through the hearts of everyone listening. Sometimes, the strongest weapon is mercy.